Ciao, sono Anna e questo è My Italian Circle. Today we look together at some of the most common mistakes made by learners of Italian. These are taken from my direct experience with some of my students. Before going on, however, let me say that you are amazing. All of you who take time to write comments to our videos, who are so motivated in learning Italian, no matter your level, no matter how much time you can devote to the study of our beautiful language. Let me just tell you, bravi, 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 and thank you. Thank you for loving Italian. Now, let me give you a few tips that will help you speak and write more correctly. Pronti? Four common mistakes. There's a little word that can help you sound more fluent in Italian, and yet this little word is often misplaced in a sentence. The word is anche.
Dove metto anche?
I will now give you two example sentences, and you have to tell me which one is correct. C'erano Sandra e Viola anche. C'erano anche Sandra e Viola. Qual è la frase giusta? Which sentence is the right one? What is the right position of the word anche? La seconda. C'erano anche Sandra e Viola. Did you get it right? Let's try again. Ho mangiato anche una fetta di torta. Anche ho mangiato una fetta di torta. Think. This time, the right sentence is the first one. Ho mangiato anche una fetta di torta. The secret is simple. The word anche is placed directly before the element it refers to and never after. Easy. For example, anche Lucia ha mangiato la torta. Here I want to say that also Lucia, as well as other people, had cake. Anche Lucia. But if I say, Lucia ha mangiato anche la torta. Well, I want to say that Lucia had cake in addition to other food. Anche la torta. Just like in English, changing the position of this little word alters the emphasis and the meaning of the sentence. So, remember to place anche just before the words it refers to.
La sua gamba.
Another slip I hear very often in Italian is the overuse of possessive adjectives when talking about body parts. In Italian, when we are talking about our body parts, well, we take it for granted that they are ours. There is no need to emphasize it with words like mio, tuo, suo. For example, I often hear sentences like these. Leonardo ha rotto la sua gamba. Viola ha lavato I suoi denti. Well, if I hear a sentence like that, the first thing that comes to my mind is to ask, whose leg? Whose teeth? That's because we use reflexive verbs to convey the same idea, and the possessive adjective is unnecessary. Leonardo ha rotto la sua gamba makes me think of someone else's leg, and Viola ha lavato I suoi denti makes me think of someone else's teeth. So, how to fix this? As I said, use reflexive verbs. Leonardo ha rotto la sua gamba becomes Leonardo si è rotto la gamba. Viola ha lavato I suoi denti becomes Viola si è lavata I denti. As an aside, remember that in compound tenses, the helping verb you should use with the reflexive verb is essere, and that the past participle agrees with the subject. Leonardo is a man, hence si è rotto, masculine singular. Viola is a woman, hence si è lavata, feminine singular. How would you say the children wash their hands? I bambini si sono lavati le mani. Masculine plural. Lavati agrees with i bambini.
Ho guidato all'aeroporto.
English, like many other languages, is very precise in the choice of verbs of motion. You use specific verbs to say exactly how you are going somewhere. Flying, walking, driving. Well, generally, we don't. We flew to Venice, we drove to Venice, we walked to Venice can all be translated with the sentence siamo andati a Venezia. Who cares how we went there? The important thing is that we went to Venice. Clearly, I am exaggerating to help you remember better. Of course, the means of transport we use can also be important, but we express it differently. So we say, we flew to Venice, siamo andati a Venezia in aereo. We drove to Venice, siamo andati a Venezia in macchina. We walked to Venice, siamo andati a Venezia a piedi. Wow, congratulations! You can certainly stumble into sentences like Paolo è volato a Venezia or Rachele ha guidato fino all'aeroporto. But in everyday Italian, these verbs are usually replaced by the more generic andare. That's it.
Meglio o migliore?
Now the last thing to fix for today's lesson. Meglio or migliore? And my example sentence is come stai? Sto migliore. But the answer to the question come stai, how are you, in this case is sto meglio, I'm better. Why? Because meglio is an adverb. It tells us something more about a verb, in this case stare, while migliore is the comparative degree of the adjective buono. Let's see more examples. Il film di oggi è migliore di quello della settimana scorsa. Today's film is better than last week's film. Mi siedo in fondo perché vedo meglio lo schermo. I sit in the back so I can see the screen better. Meglio means in a better way. The reason why you may be a little confused lies in the fact that spoken Italian has taken over grammar here. Italians often use meglio instead of migliore, the adverb instead of the adjective. So many learners no longer know which is which and end up thinking that these two words are interchangeable. A sentence like this one. Il film di oggi è meglio di quello di ieri is considered perfectly acceptable, but not in written Italian. It's a feature of the informal spoken language. To be correct, the sentence should be Il film di oggi è migliore di quello di ieri. To conclude, the answer to the question, can I use meglio and migliore indifferently, is no. You can replace migliore with meglio in spoken Italian, even if the grammar rule says otherwise, but you cannot replace meglio with migliore. So, if you were a bit under the weather and I wanted to know if you're feeling better today, I'd say, oggi stai meglio? What do you think? Do you make these mistakes? Did you make them in the past? Tell me in the comments. I would really like to know more about your experience with the Italian language. Patrons, as usual, download your additional content from Patreon. Not a patron yet? Why not become one? We won't let you down. Ci vediamo la settimana prossima su questo canale. Ciao!